They're going for the win. They're going for the win.
Not far to go now. Sal's trying to go by. What a race.
Incredible athletic performances.
We've got 30 seconds left for world record performance.
Road Race of the Month is presented by Foot Locker, America's most complete athletic footwear store. Where else you gonna go? And by Nuprin, big pain relief in a little yellow pill. A lighthouse has served as a maritime reference at Knobscoop Point on the southwest tip of Cape Cod since 1828. That same lighthouse has marked the 1 mile reference point for the last 16 years for the thousands of runners traversing 7 of the most famous miles in the world of running, miles which constitute the Falmouth Road Race. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Rivas, along with Alberto Salazar in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, on a very windy and humid day for the 17th running of the Falmouth Road Race. Alberto, you set the course record back in 1982. It still stands. The question is, why? They bring in top fields every year.
Well, Tony, I used to point for this race. I would go to Europe and run on the track circuit during the summer. I'd run 5 and 10,000 meter races. Then I'd come back home and I'd give myself about 2 weeks of rest from racing. And then I'd point for this race, and I knew that I was ready because I was very sharp from those track races. Now, a lot of these runners aren't pointing as much for this race as I used to do.
On the women's side of the competition, we have 3 or 4 women who have won in recent weeks. Very well-matched field. Let's go down to the street right now and check out the top competitors, both on the men's and the women's side. There's our defending champion, Mark Kerp of Missouri. Had a stress fracture in March, not expected to contend today. 1987 Falmouth women's winner, Aurora Cunha of Portugal. Here's Washington's Lisa Weidenbach. A lot of experts have picked her to be the women's favorite. Newly ponytailed Rob DiCostello of Australia, 3rd here in 85. There's Ann Audain on the left, and defending champion Ann Hannum, both of New Zealand, going over the rolling first 3 miles on the course. And on the left, Kiwi master Kevin Ryan loosening up with New York City Marathon champion Steve Jones of Wales, the men's favorite today. 6,300 official starters, and some 3,000 so-called crashers in the race today. The race has started in front of the Captain Kidd restaurant ever since its inception. Alberto, it's quaint, but it can also be dangerous.
Well, right now, these runners' nerves are stretched to the breaking point. Because of the narrowness of the street, they're very scared of being tripped up at the start.
Co-directors Rich Sherman on the left, John Carroll on the right. Make sure everything is in order for the start. Gun is up.
It's a mad dash for the first half mile here as the runners try and establish a good position out of Woods Hole. It's very important to get out in front so that you can have good, clean running space in all the turns.
Falmouth 1989. We'll have the action right after this. Falmouth continues to be the most lucrative of the non-marathon road races in the country. On the far outside, Marcus Barreto had his tonsils out after starting off hot in 1989. It's taken some time to get back into top form.
Sí me sentía mal porque pues siempre me ha gustado pelear, ¿no?
Marcus says that it's been very hard for him because he's always liked to compete for first place. He's just had to let time go by and wait for his body to regain its strength.
Alberto, this is the first place on the course where they're running out in the open, right along the water. 20-mile-an-hour winds out there today, but where is it coming from?
This morning, I ran along this exact portion of the race and found that, fortunately for the runners, it's mostly a tailwind.
Here's our first look at the leaders on the women's side. All our favorites right in a row. F2, Aurora Cunha from Portugal. Winner in 1987. Margaret Gross, the Olympic Trials Marathon champion from the United States. Winner last week in Asbury Park. Judy St. Hilaire right there as well, but we're moving up past that pack of favorites. That's Joan Nesbitt. Winner in 1984. A surprise leader at this stage. The Knobscoop Lighthouse. That means they're at mile 1 with Deke still in the lead.
First mile around 4:28, and that's almost exactly what I ran in 1981 and 1982 when I won setting records here.
And with DiCostello doing the leading, Alberto, he's such a seasoned veteran, everyone's comfortable with him doing the work.
I always think of this race as having 3 stages. The first mile is the mad scramble to establish position. The next 2 miles, you're back in the woods, back in the roller coaster hills, where you just try and conserve energy and save as much as possible for the 3rd stage when you get to the flat out in the open.
Last year, the Americans swept the top places on the men's side as a lot of the foreigners were getting ready for the Olympics in Seoul. Now, as we make our way up through the leaders, we don't see an American anywhere in this top 10.
A lot of up and down hills here, but they're not much of a factor because they're so short.
But what may be a factor, a lot of runners are nervous about the footing out there. A lot of ruts, a lot of potholes. Martin Pitayo on the left has joined a four-man pack. Marcus Bretto in the Reebok colors, he's right in the middle of the street. Number 20, the white bottom and the blue top just turned around. He's from Italy, Salvatore Bettiol, second at the New York City Marathon last November. And in the back, from Zimbabwe, Brian Sharif, second at the Big 7 in Davenport, Iowa, just 2 weeks ago.
Two guys we expected to see but haven't seen anything of are Steve Jones of Wales and Steve Spencer of the United States.
Jones won the Asbury Park 10K week before Falmouth, and Spence has been one of the hottest road racers all during the year and was pointing for Falmouth. Which begs the question, of those guys playing it smart, or can you win from behind?
Well, traditionally, the eventual winner is usually among the leaders at this point in the race.
But they don't give the prize money out at the 1.5 mile mark. 5.5 more miles along the shoreline right after this.
At the moment, I'm just getting back into what I considered to be good shape. I had quite a long break after the Olympics, and it's taken me a while to get myself fit again. So these races and training that I'm having now are really just building up for the Commonwealth Games early next year. My performance and fitness has been improving every week, and I'm happy with the progress. But, I'd just like to not let any other marathon runner like, Steve Jones beat me today.
Interesting, Alberto, at the Peachtree Road Race, Rob was 15th place, and at the Big 7 in Davenport, Iowa, 10th place, so he's moving up the ladder, but this is somewhat of a shock. Here we have our three women's leaders. Cunha in the middle in the blue. On the left with a very high arm action, Judy St. Hilaire. She lives just up the block in Hingham, Massachusetts, and Ann Aldane from New Zealand. We spoke with Judy before the race. Literally.
I respect this course a lot more because of the first 3 miles are the toughest part, I think, and it can set you up for a tough one if you go out too hard. So, you really can't go out conservative either because the field is real tough. So, whatever everyone hands me today, I'm going to try to key off the other runners, but I really can't predict how I'm going to run right now.
Three still together in the women's competition, but Cunha has been the controller throughout. 4 men together. Bettiol from Italy, been the main man ever since the get-go. Alberto, they're on the flat section of the course in the open. What goes through a racer's mind right now?
This is usually the point where the eventual winner or winners are going to start to break away. Because right now, there aren't any more distractions in terms of hills or sharp turns. Right now, it's just a matter of who's got the ability to take the most pain, who's got the ability to press it.
Every time Bettiol turns around, he drops another contender. Looks like Barreto was on the ledge that time. Wonder why Falmouth is known as the Great American Road Race and as illustrious a list of multiple winners as any race in the nation.
So you can see right here, the runners are out in the hottest portion of the course. They're right out in the middle there. There's no cover whatsoever.
The form of Salvador Garcia, sergeant in the Mexican Army. He moved his way very gently through those first 3 miles and has now assumed the lead as they pass 4 miles. His last race, a 1:07 half marathon in Puerto Rico 3 weeks ago. It's sort of a slow time, but it was very hilly and very hot and humid. Seemingly excellent preparation for Falmouth. Before the competition, we asked him who he would key on today and about his chances. This athlete's profile brought to you by Newton.
Espero echarle a todo a fondo hasta lo máximo para
Salvador said that he's going to compete against everyone all the way to the finish. And with a little luck, he thinks he can win it.
A little bit more brown. And the woman we didn't see throughout the entire race has now moved into 3rd place, Lisa Weidenbach, Issaquah, Washington. She set American records at 15 kilometers and 10 miles so far in 1989. You wonder why we didn't see her earlier and why now she's coming from behind, Alberto. Maybe she's playing it as smart as we thought Garcia was.
With 3 miles left to go in the race, there's still a lot that can happen in the women's race.
She's known as much more of a heavy pace setter. She hasn't raced in a month. Maybe she wasn't nearly as race sharp as Cunha had been coming from the European track circuit.
Here we can see Bettiol's legs. He's not what you usually envision most distance runners as having in terms of long, spindly legs. He's got very thick, squat legs.
No wonder he runs the marathon. No wonder he cramped up so badly at New York City last year. But Garcia still very much in the hunt. The gap has opened up, but it's not opened up a lot. Although, is Garcia turning over a lot or loping along a little bit? He's tired.
Garcia definitely looks better, but without a doubt, he's falling back. Just goes to tell you that looks don't mean a thing in running.
What does Garcia have to do, Alberto? At this particular state, he's still within mental contact, even though he's fallen off physical contact. You can see how boring ahead his eyes are. He's still in it in his own mind.
He's only 15 to 20 yards behind. As long as he doesn't let that stretch to 50 or 60 yards, he'll still have the ability to reel him back in.
And now, Judy St. Hilaire has been passed by Lisa Weidenbach, and she set her sights on second place, Ann Aldain. All along, we've been talking about contact being absolutely necessary to ensure victory. And yet, here is Lisa Weidenbach moving her way through the field. Alberto, is there a significant difference, do you think, between men's running and women's running at this stage?
The difference is that in a men's race, once a runner falls back from the leaders, there's usually not anyone there for him to run with. Whereas in a women's race, she always has other males up there that she can run with, she can use to help try and get back into the competition.
Or to push her along, as we see with Aurora Cunha and the two men that she's got by her side. She takes a quick glance back, doesn't see anybody. The man in the electric green shorts in the back is about 2 seconds behind her and about 5 seconds in front of her chasers. We can see that Cunha is much closer to record pace than the men are, as Garcia still looks strong in second place. He's got himself back together. The question is, how far is the gap up to Vecchio?
At this point, that gap's starting to lengthen out to about 30 meters. It's going to be harder and harder for him to maintain that contact.
Vecchio's head's down. We don't see him race that often, so it's hard to tell whether this is a normal sign for him or he's really starting to show fatigue.
He's been looking back a lot throughout the entire race. And I think that's a sign of weakness sometimes. It shows nervousness. Sometimes it'll spur the other runners on behind you. They'll think that you're tired, and that's why you're looking back.
It's a lot uglier back there. We're looking at Salvador Garcia from Mexico. When last we left him in second place. Based on the fact that we're moving up fast, we must be going up to Bettiol. You mentioned let him get 70 or 80 meters, and the race is over. We've got less than a half mile left to go. Bettiol doesn't look good, but he looks like he's going to win.
At this point in the race, unless Bettiol completely falls apart on that last major uphill, which is always a possibility, I don't think that there's any way that Garcia is going to catch him.
Last year, the Falmouth Road Race began a sister race relationship with a race in Boiano, Italy. Fitting that we now have an Italian victor. Victory not assured in the women's competition yet, though. Lisa Weidenbach moved past Judy St. Hilaire and Ann Aldain. She's hoping to move just one more spot up to Aurora Cunha. But she's got her work cut out for her, Alberto. But she's really struggling, and look how nice Cunha looks.
Cunha looks fantastic. She's like a machine. Her form hasn't changed at all from the first 100 meters of the race. I doubt it's going to change now with only a mile to go.
28-year-old Salvatore Bettiol of Italy, 7th and 2nd in his previous American road races at the New York City Marathon, now gets to experience victory and at one of the grand finishing stretches in all of racing.
There's nothing like coming down that last downhill with all those people cheering you on.
Salvatore Bettiol, 1989 Falmouth Road Race champion. And in second, Garcia barely holding off Di Castella. This is Steve Spence from Boulder, Colorado in 5th place, the first American, and Dick and Rick Hoyt in their 10th Falmouth Road Race, followed by Leonardo Reyes of Mexico. In another 45 minutes, that ball field's going to be packed. Aurora Cunha, a two-time world road champion, winner at Falmouth in 1987, could not defend last year, returns in 89 to reclaim her title. And in second, Lisa Weidenbach, who let Cunha get just a little bit too far in front. Let's go down to our Runner's World Circle of Champions.
Ma io volevo stare un po' dietro agli altri subito in partenza. Sapevo che le condizioni mie.
My fitness and conditioning were very good, though I didn't know my competitors, Steve Jones, Di Castella, and the other runners. But after the first mile, I started feeling good. It was great winning at Falmouth.
Sim, até a primeira milha foi muito rápida. Tentei controlar mais ou menos até 3 milhas.
The first mile was very fast. I tried to control it, more or less, until the 3rd mile. And from the 3rd mile on, I ran real fast and started to believe that I had a chance of winning.
A look at our Foot Locker scoreboard shows Salvatore Bettiol with the 7th fastest time in history at Falmouth, so it's not really all that bad a day to run. Steve Spence, first American, down in 5th. The Foot Locker women's scoreboard, Aurora Cunha, the 3rd fastest female time in history.
And although Lisa Weidenbach was 18 seconds back in 2nd place, she has nothing to be ashamed of, as she has the 6th fastest time ever.
Kenyan Masters phenom Wilson Wegwa has won every race he's entered this year and wins $2,000 for the Falmouth Championship. Lori Binder, $1,000 for her victory over Gabrielle Anderson.
And here's the legendary Johnny Kelly, who's run all 17 Falmouth road races.
In all, 5 of the top 10 places went to Mexican runners. That's not really a surprise.